Welcome to another how-to video from bugspray.com. So in this video, I'm going to talk about something we call ground pearls. We get these questions about ground pearls mostly from the Southeast, and it's been an ongoing kind of issue. And what I mean by that is customers call or email and say, hey, I have ground pearls, and you say you have an answer for them, but no one else in the world knows about this. We have no idea why this is. Ground pearls are essentially a type of scale, and they live typically in the grass, and they will cause your grass or your turf to have issues. There is a plethora of products that can control ground pearls. The confusion seems to be that there's no specific label that really comes out and says, hey, this product controls ground pearls. So for that reason, many homeowners who are fighting the issue are asking us, why is it that you're the only ones who have an answer? Or can this really be true? Why do your products work, but no one else in the world knows about it? We don't have any answer for that. What we can tell you is real simple. We sell professional grade products, and over the period of years that we've been in existence, we've learned that there are certain products that, when used in accordance with their label, will control a wide range of pests. And in general, this is true. In other words, virtually every insecticide can potentially kill probably 10 times, if not 100 times, what's listed on its label. And the answer for that, or the reason for that, is real simple. I mean, look at this product. It's got a front little label, back little label. Technically, it has a label packet that hangs from here. I don't have it on this jug, but it's a small little pamphlet. And on that label is only going to be a handful of pests. There is no way that any chemical company would ever list every single insect that it could potentially kill. Think about it. The beetle family has over 100,000 species. This product can kill every one of them. It would never list 100,000 insects on its label. Scale typically invades or thrives on plants or trees. Obviously, there's some that thrive on turf, like ground pearls, but there's no way that you're going to get every single type of scale covered on any one label. It's not going to happen. And I guess that's where it all starts. In other words, people get fixated on a product's label, and if they don't see their target pest, they think, well, how can this work? It doesn't list the pest I'm trying to control. It's real simple. It's not going to be there. What you have to do is a simple kind of evaluation. In other words, think of something that's similar to the pest that you're targeting, and if you can find something in that same family, then chances are 99.999% that the same product would work for your target pest. Roaches alone, there are so many different species of roaches, and I would say that of all the products we sell, which are hundreds for roaches, you're never going to find a product label that lists every single species of roaches. It's not going to happen. I can say the same about ants. I can say the same about wood-boring pests in trees. The list goes on and on. So when we talk about ground pearls, and your question is, why is it that you're the only one who knows? I've gone to universities. I've gone to my local extension agent, and none of them know about your products. There's no secret here. It's real simple. Like I said, well, what I can tell you and what the facts are is real simple. There are a host of products that will list scale as a target pest. And in general, most of those products, probably 99.99%, are going to be water-based. Those products are not going to help for ground pearls. What you want is the oil base. So when we get into an oil-based product, what we find is that they have a different set of solvents and they have a different set of stabilizers, and they're very different from a water-based product or a microencapsulated product. When you look at an EC or an emulsifiable concentrate, what you see is an amber, very liquidy kind of product. It almost looks like a light oil, something that you might use in a car or a motor, and it does have petroleum in it. So petroleum by nature is very invasive. This is critical for controlling a host of pests. Most insects have their exoskeleton, or I should say their skeleton on the outside, which is termed exoskeleton, and therefore insecticides have an issue getting inside them. Water-based products don't do nearly as well as an emulsifiable concentrate, one that is oil-based. So the oil-based feature is one of the reasons why this product or any of the products that we're going to recommend for a host of pests will do really well, because they penetrate well. But let's go back to what was the original concern or issue that I was bringing up at the beginning of this video. Why is it that no one knows about this? Well, again, most everyone gets hung up on what's listed on a label, so we have to look past that. What we need to look at is the general use of the product. And what I mean by that is, how is it that the product should be applied? So in this case, both these products are applied on turf. They're for outside use only, and they are designed for use in the yard and around the home. So when these products are out there doing their job, being applied properly, as the label says, it turns out that they control a plethora of insects, pretty much anything. And ground pearls are included with that. The other question that we get from many customers is that, okay, I've been in touch with universities, I've been in touch with my local extension agent, and they say that there is nothing we can do. We don't know of anything that you can use. To be clear, extension agents and universities are not in the job of advising or servicing homes or the yards for pest control. They're in the job, or their responsibility is to answer questions regarding these pests. And they do a good job of it. Most any agent would do a good job of telling you, or at least identifying, that you have ground pearls. But their job is not to say, you need to use this product to solve this problem, or you should hire this company. That's not going to happen. There's a conflict of interest there. If they recommend a specific product, there's literally a conflict of interest, because it implies that they're leaning towards a specific company. And obviously, if they were getting paid off by that company, well, the rest goes without saying. So do not expect to get answers on how to control a pest from an extension agent or from a university. That's not their job. If you go to them and say, what's happening here? And they answer that question, they're usually spot on. They can usually identify the problem. Once they identify the problem, you need to go to the problem solvers. Now, we've been around for over 30 years, and over the course of that time, we've identified certain products that, when used according to their label, when used as they were meant to be used, They not only control what is on their label, but also a plethora of other insects that don't or aren't listed on their label. And ground pearls fall into that category. So now let's talk about ground pearls. Ground pearls are a big problem, and mostly in the Southeast. Mostly it starts when a yard becomes vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, it's because of one of two things. It usually either has a lot of moisture or it has a really low pH, because ground pearls like a lower pH. So if you've got a ground pearl issue, go to our website. It's real clear, bugspray.com. And when you get on the website, just click on pest. And then what you want to do is click on insects. And then when you get in the insect category, what you want to do is go ahead and click on the G section. You can do that from the top, or you can just scroll down pretty quick and click on ground pearls. And when you get to that article, you're going to see what we talk about using. But the first thing we talk about is trying to get your pH right. In virtually all yards where we've seen ground pearls as being an issue, it's due to a low pH. And a low pH is anything below 7.0. So a proper pH for the lawn and garden around the home is going to be a 7.0. There are certain vegetables, there are certain plants that like more acidic conditions, maybe a 6.5. And to back up a little, 7.0 as a pH is neutral. Anything below that is considered acidic. Anything above that is considered to be alkaline. So when it comes to insects, when it comes to fungus, when it comes to weeds, virtually all of them thrive when the pH is low. So how does your pH get low? The pH in your soil will naturally get low for two main reasons. The first reason is fertilization. If you're fertilizing your lawn and you're over-fertilizing, just regular fertilization will do the job or cause the issue. But if you're over-fertilizing, it will kind of happen faster. Over-fertilizing causes the soil to drop in pH, to become more acidic. But more importantly, the natural rainfall that we experience here on the east coast of the United States is highly acidic. So rainfall alone can cause your pH to drop. When you throw into the mix things like wood chips and pine bark and mulch in general, when these products or these what we call ground covers for mulch areas are degrading, they're causing an acidic condition in the soil. And over time, that causes the soil to drop in pH. As the pH drops, a 6.5, not terrible. A 6.0 is usually when lawns become vulnerable. Once you get below 6.0, anything goes. The general rule is once you get below 6.0, you're going to have a problem growing turf, and you're going to be fighting fungus, weeds, insects, and some other issues, maybe nematodes. There's a bunch of different things that can happen once your pH gets below 6.0. So the first thing we want to do with ground pearls is get a good read on the pH. What I'm holding here is a simple pH meter, and it does a couple different things. You know, it tests moisture in the soil, but the big thing that we want to test for is pH. And all you need to do is stick that in the ground, and you're going to get a reading up here. And if you're measuring a pH that's going to be lower than 7.0, you need to do a treatment. Our article is going to talk about that. And it's going to talk about what we call liquid lime and how you can lime your yard. Lime is an alkaline product. It causes your pH to increase. And although everybody, or I should say, the most common thing that everybody has heard about is a granular form of lime. And many people talk about liming their yard in the fall or during the winter. Lime pellets will increase your pH, but liquid lime is way better. It's just an immediate type of a thing. So if we take a moment to take a look at liquid lime, for example, you'll see that, we carry a jug of it. And the liquid lime has a huge benefit or advantage over the pelletized form because it affects your soil like instantly. So when you apply it, you can see a change of pH almost immediately. We sell it in a 2.5 gallon pail. 1 gallon over 17,000 square feet can raise your pH 0.5 to 1.0. So it can have a profound impact within a few days. The rule here is real simple. Get a pH meter, get a reading of your turf, mostly focused around where the ground pearls are active, and then get a square footage. So is it 1,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet? In general, what you're going to find is one of two things. Either the whole yard is going to be very, very consistent, or it's going to be limited to the area where the ground pearls are active. So if it's limited to that area, you really want to focus your applications on that area. In other words, if you're treating with a liquid lime and spraying that over the entire yard, but the whole yard is neutral except for the one area, you're going to affect the rest of the yard and bring the pH up too high. So we don't want to do that. Let's limit the treatments of the liquid lime to where it matters. So focus on that. We can help you with the calculations, how much to use, all of that. It's very easy. The concentrate pours into a hose end sprayer, and you hook that to your garden hose, spray it out over the area where you have the active ground pearls, and your pH will almost instantly go up, certainly within a couple of days. We recommend testing it prior to the application, and then a week later. And a week later, you're going to see it increase. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to see where it's stabilized. If it's not high enough after 2 weeks, you're going to do another application. So that's how the liquid lime works and the pH. Once you get your pH to 6.5, you can begin the applications with the Maxthor. So with the ground pearls, the big thing to realize is that ground pearls don't or aren't active during the winter or cold months. They tend to hibernate. They tend to move down into the roots of the actual turf, and the liquid treatment is not so effective on them at that time. So if it's cold or wintertime, what you want to do is go ahead and apply the granules. Again, our article, going back to the insects and specifically the ground pearls, you'll see where we have all that information kind of covered. And when you go back to the article, you'll be able to see what the rate that we talk about with the granules. So get your granules applied if it's December, January, February. Once you get into February, particularly here in the southeast, the temperatures are going to be warm enough to where you can then start to do your chemical, or liquid, I should say, applications. The liquid applications are paramount to solving the problem, because when the ground pearls are active and they're up, they're going to be open. And when they're open, they're vulnerable. So the liquid spray of the Maxthor over the active ground pearls will have a profound impact, killing them pretty much on contact, and within a week or two, they'll be gone. So treating when it's warm, and that could be actually in the winter if you have a series of warm days. So if you have several days where it's 60 degrees or higher, it's very likely the ground pearls will come up and start getting active. And if that happens, then the liquid treatment will work fine. But in general, once you get to December, you want to go with the Maxthor granules, get that applied as our article explains, and then wait. if you get to, say, February and you know spring's just about to happen, get a liquid treatment out following the application rate that we have on the site, and then follow up a month later. Usually in the Southeast, and I'm talking about from Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, all the way across to Texas, but ground pearls are more prevalent on the Southeast coast. Usually by March, the liquid treatment will have a big impact, and it will kill off any that you might have had. And usually one application does it. The applications will last 3 to 4 weeks when you're treating with liquid. The granules last 2 to 3 months, so you don't have to apply the granules too much. The granules are slow release. They go down on the ground, so any ground pearls developing down low will be affected by the granules. The liquid treatment is a surface application that affects the ones on top, which are active and open. So you need to do that, obviously, when the ground pearls are up top, and that's usually from March to about October. The great news here is that this is not a tough pest to control. There's no secret that we only know about and the rest of the world doesn't. At the end of the day, it's more about our experience with different pests and different products over the years that have enabled us to identify the best product for a specific pest in a specific region of the country. And if you're in the Southeast and you're dealing with ground pearls, you're going to want both of these Maxthor products, and you're going to want to apply them the way that we detail here. Lastly, and certainly not leastly, is the fact that these products are not going to pose any kind of hazard to pets or to children who are romping around in the yard. For obvious reasons, you keep them away when you do your application. But once the granules are applied and you let them settle in for a day, everyone can go back to their normal pattern of behaviors outside with no hazard present because the granules will be spread so thin. Regarding the spray, if you do an application in the morning at 8 or 9 o'clock, everyone can go out and enjoy the yard as if nothing was done by 11 a.m. Ideally, what you want to do with the Maxthor is apply it in the evening, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, right as it's getting towards dark, and then let it sit overnight. This way it soaks in and it gets to attack the ground pearls at a time when they're vulnerable. They're not open, but they're present. And the Maxthor will wrap around them, and then the next morning when they decide to open up and get active, it will penetrate and do its job. So with the Maxthor spray, you have a faster return to the ground type of time period. In other words, it only takes 1 to 2 hours for this application to settle in, and then pets and children can go over the area without any kind of hazard. But the granules, we want to wait a little longer. So applying them at night, watering them in is best, and then allowing everyone back into the yard the following day is fine. All of these products are going to be dispersed so finely over such a big area that in any one given location, there should not be any hazard to pets or children. In other words, it should be insignificant, the amount that's actually laid out. So you don't have to worry about that if you do the application properly and you keep the pets and kids away when you do the treatment. In the end, ground pearls are easy to control. You got to get the pH up, and I think I failed to mention that, yes, a low pH leads to things like weeds and insects and fungus, but what it also does is prevent the actual insecticides from working properly. A low pH, an acidic pH, will defeat the chemicals and knock them down. So we need the higher pH or the proper pH so that we can get the job done. And that can only be achieved by using the liquid lime and bringing that pH up by monitoring it with the pH meter. So if you don't have one of these, they're very inexpensive. I think we sell them for 15 bucks. You plug it in the ground, you get a reading. I personally keep a chart of the pH in my yard, and I can tell you very simply, all of my mulch areas lower pH every single year. So pine straw and wood chips, that's where the pH is lower, and that's where I apply liquid lime. My turf is almost always constant, with the only issue being where it is on the border of the mulch areas. So in those areas, I have to spray the liquid lime to get that pH up. And I keep the yard very, very stable or consistent regarding the pH, because I know that if I do that, I'll get the best results from my insecticides, from my fungicide, and from my herbicide. I don't have any insects on an annual basis that are a problem. I have sporadic pop-ups from something that tries to establish itself, but they fail. And they fail because I'm always going out and treating, not every day, but on a regular basis. And in my yard, which is approximately 10,000 square feet of turf and another 5,000 to 7,000 square feet of mulch, I treat both as if they're the same. I keep those areas very stable with the pH, and I keep them very stable with the insecticides. I'll put out granules and a liquid spray in March, and then I'll follow up in May. So 2 months later, I follow up, and I'm pretty much done through June and July. I might have to apply in July, but usually not till August. And the fall is a whole nother season, because they can get very active in the fall. So at the end of the day, if you're following what our article talks about, getting your pH right, and then doing the treatments with the Maxthor, yes, you can control ground pearls. And yes, it's not going to be difficult. And yes, it's going to be safe for your pets and children. And we're sorry, we don't understand why no one knows about this, but this is not some top secret information that we're the only ones privileged to know about. At the end of the day, these products will take care of ground pearls. And if you follow the process that we have detailed here, you can knock them out of your yard and have your grass as green as you want it to be. So thanks for watching my video on ground pearls from bugspray.com.